Welcome to the Wedding Workflow Podcast, the show for wedding professionals, engaged couples, or anyone involved in the wedding world. We'll be talking about everything from picking a venue, what to look for in a photographer, how to work with your DJ to get people on the dance floor, and how to handle all the craziness of planning a wedding. We hope you get something valuable from our show and our guests, and invite you to join us every Wednesday here at the Wedding Workflow Podcast. We are back. It is the Wedding Workflow Podcast. You're joined by Adam Robb,
Carson Parmenter,
Michael George,
and on the phone we have
Marc Suber.
Marc Suber. And Marc, you're in Pittsburgh or near Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I'm in Newcastle right now, but Pittsburgh's pretty much my place.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, welcome to the podcast. This is what I like to call the DJ Roundtable, and we got most of the DJs from the Headtrauma entertainment family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Carson representing here.
Oh, trying, man. We got a solid team.
Yeah, dude. Me and Carson just recently we're renting an office in Belden in Canton, Ohio, and so that's where you're hearing us from.
Oh, yeah. Loving it here.
Yeah, it's been
Absolutely
great. You had your first couple meet here last night?
Yeah, met the first couples here last night. It was awesome. Got to throw their master schedule up on the TV, and I could definitely tell they felt like it was very professional, so
That's
I loved
awesome,
it.
man. And Marc, you're going to be kind of heading up the Headtrauma Pittsburgh edition.
Yeah, he's going to be everywhere. Yeah, he's going Ohio, Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So this is kind of, we're all DJs here. We're all, loving music. Let's get a little. Oh, yeah. I've actually never used that soundbite at a wedding in my life. But, yeah, so let's kind of just talk about stuff. We got some questions, and we'll just get into it. So what are Michael George, you're new to the fam, but how's the lockdown been for everybody with coronavirus, and how's everybody been doing?
are we talking like in regards to like doing weddings and events or just in general? Okay. Yeah. Well, kind of funny enough, actually, I kind of like started right post post lockdown. So for me, it's kind of all I know right now. Although when I did some weddings with Carson last year, it was a little bit different. And I think the biggest thing is just seeing that weddings are getting smaller. You know what I mean? Especially from their original intended guest list. Other than that, folks that are still deciding to have their weddings, everybody's kind of handling things their own way. Typically, I see they have like the sanitation stations and whatnot. Yeah. But I feel like once they're deciding to go with an event and it's a little bit smaller, personally, I think that there aren't really any challenges in that regard. The only challenges would be like on their end, having vendors cancel or events like venues or anything. So I think like once it gets, the only challenges that we would have experienced are having things moved, like dates moved and rescheduling. Otherwise, once an event's booked and it's happening, to me, the event is still going on and there's no particular challenge in that way. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. What about you, Carson?
Yeah, man. I'm actually, pretty spot on with what Michael said, actually. I feel like the biggest challenge has been all the postponings of the events because things got really messy, really fast, and really difficult to just keep track and make sure that no details were, like, moved around or wrong as 40, 50 weddings are postponing all at the same time.
Yeah.
So that was just, in handling people's money, like deposits and all that just got really, really messy. But I do feel like if they, other than, of course, like the weddings are smaller, and so that can be challenging. And I feel bad for the couples a little bit because I know that they had to probably cut down their guest list a lot, and maybe some of their older people and their family don't feel as comfortable. So I'm sure that's very tough on their end. But yeah, for me on my end, I feel like once we get to the event, I feel like it really runs pretty similarly to everybody, to all the past ones, and people are still partying just as hard. So yeah, I feel like it's been good. Yeah. But definitely all the changes are difficult.
Yeah. How about you, Marc? What have you been experiencing?
I don't know. I've been finding it hard to adjust to like not seeing everybody every weekend, Like I was so used to, Saturdays I'd have a wedding, but Friday nights I'd be at a bar or a club, and I'd see all these familiar faces who have, you know, become my friends. And now I'm not seeing them every weekend anymore. The clubs aren't open like they used to be. And you go to the bars now and you can't even sit at the bar here in Pennsylvania. You gotta sit at tables.
Yeah.
And it's just not, it's hard to adjust, you know, from being social to now you're just not.
Yeah, Pennsylvania seems to be even more strict than Ohio, so I'm sure that's got to be tough.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, Mark, I feel the same way, especially because I like to go out and do things and just like be around a crowd, and crowds are not available. Yeah. So it's actually kind of nice to be in an industry where it's like, well, your work is like working for a crowd, you know what I mean? So it is kind of nice that to be able to still do weddings and whatnot, even though you're not going to find a crowd, or, you know, not to go places where it's going to be busy or there's a lot of people. So outside of that.
Yeah, I felt like this year a lot of the couples, they have like varying degrees of like how safe they want to be. And it's been kind of interesting seeing, I've been, you know, like what you're saying about the sanitation stations and providing masks and stuff. And every couple that I've talked to, I've kind of encouraged, like, however you guys feel about it, whatever, you know, do whatever feels comfortable for you. And I think I'm like, at the end of the day, as long as you guys get married and, you know, everybody's staying safe, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
So let's get, you know, all right, we addressed the pandemic. So let's move on to some fun stuff. So let's go around and everybody say kind of like, what's the one unique or interesting thing that you have in your gear that you use on wedding days?
Oh, we're starting here. Oh man, I'm
you, Michael.
Yeah. How about Adam? I think you should kick this one off.
I'll start it off. Actually, it's pretty stupid, but it's fun. But it's great. It's actually a dolly. And luckily, so I left a dolly at a venue like last summer, and I bought a new one. It sucked, and I used the dolly primarily to move like the big bass like subwoofer, and it just hasn't been the same. And then Carson did a wedding there, like, what was that, last week?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to try to see if I can get that dolly back for you. I'm like, yes. And he did.
Yeah. Yep. Brought it back home.
So it's a kind of stupid thing, but when you're carrying this giant cube that weighs like a ton, like, you know, getting that around is hard.
Oh yeah. I think for me, definitely, you know, probably turntables, you know, because I feel like, the more I'm realizing is, you know, that's something that makes us very unique, especially everyone on this podcast right now. You know, I mean, just, you know, doing our job on turntables is a lot different than other people when they just kind of press play on a playlist. And I feel like that's something that really makes us stand out of how we can interact with the crowd. Like Mark is really into it. I'm sure he'll talk about it later on, but Mark he is like on another level of mixing.
That's awesome.
But for mixing, like, you know, even just what I do, I feel like it does make a huge difference and allows us to really engage with the crowd in that way and keep the energy going.
Nice.
Okay, now I thought about it. The you have the dolly. I have just like this little wheel thing called the rock and roller cart, and that thing is like game changer. When I first started shadowing Carson for like weddings, I was like, man, this gear. I'm like, you got to do so many trips, you know, to your car. Like, we got to figure this out. So it's like it folds up into this tiny little thing, but it'll make it to where, like, if you pack it right, it's only like 3 trips to the cart. It's so nice, and it can handle that subwoofer.
Oh man!
So there's that. But also in my setup, I always bring 2 shirts for some reason. Like, one that's just like a default color, and then one that's like a color that could match. And like, so I just get like, I get like the vibe of like the aesthetic in the room, and then just to decide. And then if anything ever happened to the one shirt, so I always pack 2 shirts.
That's above and beyond right there.
And then I like hang them on like the speaker stand until it's about that time. Then I'm like feeling it out. I'm like, it's black shirt kind of night, you know.
That's above and beyond when you start matching the wedding.
Like, all right, I'm fitting in here.
In that DJ interview, you just got to be like, by the way, what colors you got? Okay, plum. And you're like,
so. Like that.
Dude, that's next level right there.
It is.
I don't always match it, but I usually will bring a color that's like similar, and then see if it's worth it.
Nice. How about you, Mark?
So for me, I feel like I have 3 pieces of gear that are really, you know, personalized to me. Number one is my laptop. I can't perform without it. I could perform on any equipment, but I can't perform without my laptop. Like I will never ask another DJ, let me borrow your laptop or let me do this. Cause it's my laptop. I know what music's on here. I know where everything is. It's my tool. It's a tool that I cater to myself. Another unique piece of gear I bring with me is honestly my help, my second guy. I never do a wedding by myself. I think there's a lot going on at a wedding, and I think it's very crucial to have that your second person with you to kind of, help you carry equipment, especially like if they're doing a ceremony that's not a part of the event, that's in the same area, but like in a different room where it requires a second system. That's a lot of time you're wasting, taking down that gear whenever you could have a second person doing that while you're inside, getting music started for the people walking inside. I've had a ton of weddings where the ceremony's in the same facility, just in, it's outside or something. And I have a separate system outside that, and my third piece of, probably something interesting you guys might make fun of me for is I type out everything. I have a paper copy with me at all times of all the introductions, the list of events. I know everything's done like electronically nowadays, but there's nothing like that paper copy whenever you're giving introductions and you could walk around and you don't have to have your phone in your hand or your laptop or like looking at your laptop or something. And that's something that I bring multiple copies with me to every event.
Nice. That's
I
cool.
like that, man. I like that.
Mark, I actually, I'm with you on that, and I actually never rely on the electronic copy. I actually handwrite it out, and I always have a clipboard with me.
Really?
So I walk around with like the clipboard, so it's like, people know you're there. You're you mean business,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I always have the paper copy, but I'm like handwriting it out, so I feel you there.
Yeah,
exactly.
I do it. I do it all through Google Docs, but because especially if I feel like every wedding I'm at, the order or something changes like last minute for introductions. And so I like Google Docs just because I can change it on my phone. And then when I get back to my laptop, it's like, boom, it's right there. But yeah, I might have to start doing a physical copy just in case. You never know.
Yeah. That's something funny. Me and Michael talk about this a lot, like things that we do to like ease our anxieties about the wedding, and like how it feels like everybody has like, something about how like, like if the technology fails or whatever. Mine is like, I know the wireless microphones probably will go 2 or 3 weddings. Actually, I think Michael tested that.
At least 3.
At least 3 weddings. And even for the ceremony mic that they're only using for 30 minutes, I will change those batteries out every event just to ease my anxiety on not having to worry about it going off.
You got a big stockpile of batteries.
Oh yeah. I'm so nervous before every wedding until I always halfway through.
Even I'll do 3, and then maybe that 4th one I'm always like, and sometimes I will switch it out, but I always keep it like at least 2 batteries with me at all times. I'm like, just in case, because I can run over, put it back in. You never know. But
yeah, my initial concerns were like, oh, what if this mic ever goes out? Like not just battery wise or like loses connection or something, which is like probably super unlikely. So this last wedding I actually connected an XLR into the other one ready to go, and I had it, and I was like, if this mic goes out, I'm just like tossing this mic.
I like that.
Yeah. So like I had it like ready to go,
So
the other
prepared.
one, but it's like that those mics are so reliable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Do you have anything that you try to ease your anxieties with, Mark?
I mean, yeah, for sure. Definitely number 1, that paper copy.
Yeah.
Number 2, having my, that second guy with me just in case. And, I always try and keep at least 1 extra of everything.
Yeah.
And especially with batteries. I can't tell you how many batteries I have in my bag because I change mine out every event.
Oh, yeah.
And I buy them off Amazon. They're I think honestly, this is probably the thing that, keeps my mind sane whenever people are using my mics, not that they're not going to die, is I buy the Duracell. It's like a special kind of battery. They're not the regular. They're called Optimum Alkaline AA batteries. So they're not like the regular Duracells that are like, you can get at Walmart. These are a little bit better. you could get 12 of them for $10.48 on Amazon. Not bad. Not going to complain.
Yeah. You ain't playing around, man. You're even doing the upgraded batteries.
I gotta get those ones that like.
That's always a fear.
You put your fingers on like the two little tabs, and then you can. It'll show how much battery's left.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I always think about getting them rechargeable ones. I feel like we'd save so much more money. But then I know I would 100% forget to charge them.
Yeah, that's always the worry.
That opens up the door for a whole new fear. It's just because I feel like nothing looks more unprofessional than if a microphone would go out. Like that's just because it's so noticeable that like it's always a fear.
And there's always like you know, especially with wireless mics, there's always that chance that something's going to interfere with it. And like, there's been, you know, some places where I've been where for some reason there's just like a radio tower nearby or something, but like things cut out and there's nothing you can do. There's even been times where like I've been, there's like a speech going on, and the way that I'm like positioned near the transceiver is like I have to stand in one spot or else like I kind of act as like a human antenna. It's weird.
Oh, yeah.
It's happened to me before, and I'm like, I noticed like by the way I moved that I'm like affecting it somehow. It's bizarre.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So what's everybody's toughest lesson while DJing? This might be a rough one. I'll do mine first. If it was back when I first started. I remember it was like maybe my second or third wedding, and I had written on a piece of paper all the names for the entrances, and I gave it to the best man. They were like on a party bus, which I should have known beforehand. I was like, it should have been my clue, but I gave him this. I was like, hey, you're the best man. Make sure everybody is in order. And I was like, he's like, all right, I got it. I'm on it. And then I went in and we went and did introductions, and they were not in that order. It was the worst thing ever. Because I mean, we don't know all their names. Like we don't have that name to face connection like everybody else. So we're like, we're hoping that they're in the right order. And so now since that day, I make it a point to like every time go out myself, make sure everybody's in order, kind of like kindergarten class. Be like, all right.
Like, you're not just the DJ, you're the coordinator.
Yeah. Yep. Herding a bridal party, I swear, like, I don't know what it is about weddings, but I feel like people would just become animals. Like, just literally animals. Like, it is sometimes so difficult to herd a whole bridal party together. Like, I don't know where these people go. Like, I track them down. Yeah, they just disappear. I don't know where they go.
You'll be looking for the bride.
Yeah, like, what?
That's crazy.
Oh man, so toughest lesson learned so far, right off the gate, man. First wedding, I learned that you should maybe practice the bride and groom's intro if there's anything unique about it. Yeah. So like for one, they'll give you a song, and then it's like at least listen to the song and figure out where the timing would be. But then this one that I did, they wanted two songs faded into each other, which is like no problem, But I had, the song for the bridal party. I introduced them, and then I had the first song for the bride and groom right after that. I didn't anticipate the challenge of like loading up that other song while I was, getting ready to introduce them. So I had some like downtime. I had like a couple seconds in between like the bridal intro and like the bride and groom. And I will never forget that, man. That silence just like stuck with me. And I'm like, I'm forever going to practice these transitions, or at least, know that I have it down. So that one, like the intro, if it's anything unusual, to like practice it or know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that for me.
Whenever that kind of equipment fails, or like an iPad or your computer just like shuts down a program, those are the longest like 30 seconds of your life.
Oh yeah. I used to have that problem when I first started. I had a computer that's like, I couldn't afford no nice computer, and that thing would overheat and shut down in middle of gigs. This has not happened since I started doing like weddings, by the way. But yeah. So that actually funny. That does tie into one of my lessons, because I did realize it's worth it to buy the proper equipment.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
for sure. So I also had I think that does come down to, actually, that's probably one of my biggest ones, between the computer failures I had back in high school when I first started DJing was a big lesson. And like Mark said, like the computer is such a tool that we curate to ourselves that it enables us to do our job. Without it, can't do it. So that one. And then this one is a bit of a more wild story, but I was DJing a homecoming, and I had just gotten some like this again, like this was back when I first was like starting, but I had bought some used gear off somebody, and it seemed like it was really good. And literally while I was using it at the dance, it started catching on fire and smoking.
Oh, wow.
And I literally had to grab the subwoofers and throw them outside the door. And I have never so this is how I found out about it, because somebody came up to me behind the DJ booth and they're like, dude, you brought a fog machine this year? And I was like, I did not bring a fog machine this year. This is a problem. So that was like one of the most embarrassed I've ever been. And like, luckily it's from my hometown school and I knew everybody, but I was so embarrassed.
Yeah,
luckily we could continue on with just the two speakers, but I'll never forget that moment.
I remember when that happened, because there was like that later that week, you were like, dude, the craziest thing happened. You were like,
that was insane.
I'll set a school on fire.
I will never forget that. And like from there on out, like I will only buy like the, you know, the proper like, you know, professional equipment that it takes to perform a job. So so yeah, that's something that stands out to me, is buy the proper equipment. What about you, Adam? Or what, did you already?
Did I say something? Oh yeah, I talked about the
yeah, you went. Oh, all right, so we're at Mark.
Yeah. So honestly, the toughest lesson that I've learned while DJing is honestly to prepare. Whenever you're doing a wedding, that's a really important day for somebody. And, you know, I remember my first or second wedding I've ever done. It was for another company, and he handed me their sheets. And like his company's like sheets. And I never looked through them. I never read through the names. I met the bride or groom, you know, once or twice, and I never really like looked at, you know, what was going on other than like their music choices and like what they wanted to like, you know, for their first dance and stuff like that. But I never looked over like the order of nothing. And, you know, and to that day comes and I'm introducing, and I didn't realize that those pages were front and back.
Oh no.
So from that day forward, it doesn't matter, you know, like what wedding I'm doing, if it's, you know, for me or through Headtrauma Entertainment or, you know, whatever, like however I book this wedding, I make sure I go through every little bit of information and I type it all out myself. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, I know Carson, he sends me the best copies of everything, and I look over this and I still have to go copy something myself, make it myself, just so I know where everything is. And I've spent the time, I've typed it out. I know where, you know, things are. I know exactly the list of orders of events are going because I've typed it out. I've read it. And, you know, Carson knows how insane I am. I'll be reading their names a month before.
Yeah, this guy is practicing names like literally a month before these people's wedding, dude,
that's
making sure he got it down.
Like I
just because it was introductions and I missed that whole back page and I was so embarrassed. Listen, that room was hot. I have never felt more hot in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like if you could feel the intensity in that room of how many people disliked me.
Yeah, you get that like
it was hot. It was hot.
Oh man.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any of you guys ever had like the schedule that you worked up with the client not match up with like a photographer or like even the venue sometimes?
Oh yeah.
Those are the worst.
Yeah, and I make up these schedules, and
100%.
I always make a point like, hey, this is a great schedule to send to your photographer and just to make sure we're all on the same page. But not many people usually do that. I feel like so yeah. I mean, I'll get there and like usually is the catering company. They'll have a way different time, and I feel like catering companies are so important to the day because they can throw off a whole schedule.
Yeah,
they can throw a whole thing off if that food's not ready.
Yeah, if the food is late, if it's early, that's fine. Usually, but if it's late or something is not working out,
if it's late, that's going to throw the whole night behind.
Yeah, and you're just trying to play catch up and get things done and speed it up. But I make it a point every wedding I go to at least talk to the caterer and the photographer. And if they have a videographer, I'll talk to them too. Yeah. And just be like, all right, I'm going to show you my schedule. Anything look weird? Anything look off to you or something like that? So
it really is a team effort though. I mean, I think you have to work with every vendor, you know? And I'm part of some of these like Facebook groups or whatever where like of like the wedding professionals, and it just blows my mind how many people like other DJs will badmouth like having to work with a photographer, a videographer, a wedding coordinator. Like, it's just like, it really should not be that way. Mm-hmm. Like, this shouldn't be a hindrance on you. Like, it really should be a collaborative team effort, because we're all should be there for the same goal, and that's to make sure that this couple has the best day of their lives. Mm-hmm. And the more I find out, it's like, sometimes I think I get used to, like, because our circle, like,
we're
all of us,
collaborative.
we're very collaborative. It's never an issue. But when I hear other stories, it's like, man, like the DJ would be like, no, you can't plug into my board, or like, you can't put your equipment near mine for like lighting and stuff. And it's just like, I just don't get it, because I feel like
that's crazy.
Like, it's not really about us. So I don't know. That's just something that's been standing out to me as well, and something that has been really active on some of these groups I'm in right now. Yeah,
it's kind of crazy, the attitude that some people go into it. Like, it's like, my time to shine, all right?
Like,
and you're like, no, not really. You're there to provide the music and to make sure, like, if people don't, if people only see you for, like, a limited amount of time, then that should be fine with you. Like, it's not really your job to, like, this isn't like Coachella or something.
Right.
If you want to do that, like, make your own beats and then travel the world. If that's what you want to do, don't do a wedding.
Right.
But so from this is the Wedding Workflow podcast. So let's talk about like kind of our workflow from getting the client to kind of the wedding day itself, and maybe give some advice on what some couples should do and what they should think about that they might not have originally thought, that kind of stuff. You want to go first, Carson?
Yeah, I'll start off. So something I feel very confident in is specifically the Headtrauma team's process of this from beginning to end. Something that I take a lot of pride in and feel very confident about. So by the time they're coming through, we try to get them a phone call to just talk more about their wedding and get to know them more. You can tell a lot about somebody just over the phone, to make sure that, we're the right fit for them, they're the right fit for us, and that we're going to, because we're going to be working with them, for, usually a year or sometimes even more. So you want to make sure, that this is going to be, a great relationship, both ways. And so I think that phone call is crucial. Then going into, like, we send them an online brochure, use something called Honeybook. Send them an online brochure, and they can select their packages and all of that. Try to make it as simple and easy as possible. And then everything from the contract and invoice, just handling everything online, so that way they can convenient for them. And then keep in contact throughout the entire wedding planning process. So whether that's every few months, if it's a long, like really far away, just to check in, see how they're doing, how life's going. Doesn't even have to be about entertainment. See if we can help them on something that doesn't even have to do with the services always. Like, maybe they need to find a florist. I don't know, but like, I can help. Like, we have a lot of connections. So just try to like really be there for every part of the planning process, and then down to the meeting with them and go over that their details through our online planning tools and put together that master schedule. I think those things are really, really beneficial, and beneficial. And I think that they are very valuable to both the client, but not only the client, but us as well. And to be able, like Mark said, to prepare, like that's what it's all about. I mean, more details, the better.
Yeah.
And I think just forming that relationship throughout, because by the time we do the wedding, I feel like we're already friends. And if you're doing a wedding for a friend, like, what can really go wrong? A lot less can go wrong, and it's just a better time for everybody. So
yeah, for sure.
All right, so I actually have something to say on the last question as well. Yeah, I know you guys were all talking about how, you guys always have like a schedule and how they never line up. So I know like how I was always taught that as a DJ, you're not just the DJ, you're the wedding coordinator.
Mm.
Yeah.
So like what that meant for me is every wedding that I went to, I brought 5 paper copies of my order of events, of like what time things are happening. Because I mean, in reality, if you think about it, you're the one who's been the closest with the bride and groom. You know, like I actually make it a point as I take every single wedding client that I've ever had, I take them out for a meal like a month before their wedding. And because that's where you like, I feel like I really get to know them in that meal. Like, yeah, I get to know them a little bit on the phone call that, you know, I take with them, but like I get to know them truly in that meal, in person, face to face. You know, we're going to eat some good food. We're going to talk about music. We're going to see, you know, I normally take them to like a bar someplace where music is playing just so like, yo, if I like this song, I'll say, hey, that's a nice song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like
just
that.
To like see like what's going on, like what their vibe is, you know, like I know for me, I love 2000s. I love new stuff. I love a little bit of like 70s, 80s. I know like the old main stuff, but like, I know like if you're a bride and groom and you're throwing a 2000s party, I know we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I know I'm gonna have a lot of fun.
That's like
you know
that
what I
is
mean? Like,
just
I'm
freaking
actually,
legendary when they say 2000s. It's like, oh yeah.
when they start like, yeah, whenever they start mentioning 2000 songs, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so much fun. I know exactly where to go. I know where I'm gonna take the night. You know what I mean? I just you know, and like that's why I've always made it a point to, you know, do the phone call and take them out to dinner.
Yeah.
You know, and for all the other DJs out there, you know, like you don't have to take them to an expensive place. Like I know I have one place in Pittsburgh that I take them, Parmenter Brothers. You know, a beer's like $3 and a sandwich is $7.
That's
and you
not
think
bad.
you're only buying that for a bride and groom. Like I walk out of there spending $40. And now I know it's a, you know, 99.99% guarantee that I know I'm going to be able to make their night go perfect. Like I'm going to be able to play the right music. Like I know what to play after I've met them.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that. It just comes back to that relationship factor. I think it's everything.
Exactly. Like if you're best friends with somebody before their wedding, you know, like what, you know what I mean? Like if you're taking them out to dinner, you know, you're calling them on the phone, you're texting them, you know, once every couple weeks, even just to see, hey, how's things going? And
yeah, it's the small things.
Next thing you know, like I know for me as the wedding, like as a DJ / wedding planner, like I'll be getting the bride and like I know as soon as the bride and groom walk in from introductions, they are hungry.
Oh yeah.
So like what I do is I go get hors d'oeuvres and I bring them to their table. Like if they have hors d'oeuvres available at the wedding, I'll go get them. I'll bring them to their table. You know, if they're like, I'll grab waters, I'll grab whatever's available and bring it to them as soon as they sit down. You know, it's just that one extra thing that you could do as a DJ that takes 5 to 6 seconds, especially if you have that second person with you who could control everything. You know, it's just right there.
Dude, I love that. Seriously, I love that so much about you, man. Like, so Mark is the person I heard about this for first. And like, he told me about how he was getting the water and the food for brides. And like the first event, he did an event for my friends and one of my best friends. And I remember like their mom texted me the very day after Mark did it and was like, this guy is amazing. Like he was getting water and food for the bridal party and everything. And I was like, holy crap. Like he's on. So I was like, all right. So I started trying it. And then all of a sudden, like, people started coming up to me at the end, and they're like, that was so like, you went above and beyond. Like, this is amazing. like, this was just incredible, like, service. And I was like, what? Mark. Like, Mark is a genius. Exactly. Like, holy crap. And, like, it's just, like, so crazy. Like, how I never think about that. Like, I don't know. Like, it's such a small gesture, and it goes, like, 100 times further than I ever would have thought. And they're such real things because since, you know, when I know for my wedding, I never got to try the appetizers. Because you don't, how could you? Because you're not there. You're taking pictures and unless someone puts them to the side for you, you're never going to try them. So it's like, and I wish like.
That's a good idea.
So you never get to try them. And then at the same time, I remember distinctly like, sitting down at my wedding thinking like none of us have drinks right now. And like, so I remember thinking like, I gotta go get the drinks, you know, but like how think about like, that's just amazing. You know, our, my wife's dad was already bringing drinks, but it really opened up my eyes when Mark started saying this and like how small it is, but how real of it thing it is. And like, so I just want to tell you, Mark, that is your genius, and like you just got a big heart, man. That's really, really great. You do that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Adam
Thank
should have
you.
stepped up to the plate,
I
man,
know.
during Carson's wedding.
I was just thinking, I'm like, man,
Oh no, I forgot. Yeah, right. Adam DJ'd my
Carson's-
wedding. Where's my drink? No, I was
I
kidding.
was like, man, Carson's DJ. Who's that
No. Dude, I never would have. I seriously feel terrible. I never thought about doing something
Yeah.
like that before, and it sounds terrible to say. Like, how?
Yeah.
I think about that.
And we've always talked about this, Carson, where like we always end up doing like this crazy stuff that like we have to, step into.
Yeah.
And I always anticipate that. I'm always
Yeah.
like something crazy is gonna happen.
Oh, Adam, well, you've been a bartender before. You've been everything, man.
Yeah, we have to jump in.
Caterer.
Yeah. But doing that, like just going into it, like thinking like, how can I serve this couple above and beyond? I like that line of thinking. That's how, that's the opposite of what a lot of vendors, that their mindset is.
Yeah.
And so I think that's good.
Yeah, it's more. We're there more than just a DJ. We're not there just to play music. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, you are the wedding planner. You know what I mean? Most couples around here don't really have a wedding planner. And, I think the one thing that they really don't realize is how good DJs are at actually planning weddings.
Yeah.
Like, I know for me, every wedding I go to, I find out who the caterer is, who did the flowers, I get business cards for everybody.
Yeah.
Simply because, if anybody ever asks me, I know who did it really well and I know who didn't.
Yeah.
I know who I enjoyed working with, who was fun, who was like, great to be around, who I've seen people enjoying. And I know, like, a couple caterers where like people are like, no, I didn't like this. I didn't like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. It's just like, I think wedding couples don't realize how good DJs are at actually planning weddings. I mean, we've been a part of, hundreds, thousands of weddings, some of us. We know what's supposed to happen when. We know who's good, who's not good. We know who to recommend and who not to recommend. And also, if you're ever in a pinch, like I know right now, if someone called me and said, I need a photographer, I got 5 I can call right now.
Yeah.
Or someone needed flowers, I got a bunch of places I could call. Like if anything ever happens, a lot, like even like you're their friends. Of course, they're going to ask the DJ, you're their friend. The DJ is the one who's most in contact with them out of all the other vendors. Think about it. Like is anyone on here married? Carson, I know you are.
Yeah.
Like how many times did you speak with your photographer or, your DJ was your friend, but like, how many times did you speak with like anybody who like catered to your event?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of details to cover and things are always changing and things change fast. That's
Exactly.
something I've always realized. Like, it's amazing. I'll meet with a couple, in person 1 to 2 months prior to the wedding. I always do a phone call the week of the wedding, and it is incredible to me how much changed in that short a period of time where, so things are always changing. So I think it's always that constant contact. Yeah, it has to be with the DJ because every detail has to go through them pretty much.
Yep.
So.
How about you, Michael George?
Well, pretty much the same kind of process that Carson talked about. One big thing for me, I always like make sure to not have anything going on the day before a wedding. It's pretty much standard that like weddings are no shy of like 12-hour days. I find out like by the time you're like leaving your house, by the time you get back, So I definitely make sure that there's nothing going on the day before, and I take that time to like just finalize my playlist and make sure I have any specific songs that they wanted that I may not have had, and, make sure I have them on 2 devices. That's kind of a little anxiety thing for me. It's like my computers have had issues before, or my old computer has. So I have purchased a new laptop, but I actually make sure to have all the songs I need on both of those, and they are both up at the same time. And I did have one crash on me at an event one time, and it just slid right into the next one like seamlessly. Yeah. So I always have 2 laptops. But anyway, so the day before, I'm just making sure everything's like pretty much set up, on my end with all the electronics and everything. But other than that, pretty much the same process with, keeping constant contact with the bride and groom, or actually typically it's usually just the bride that does that. Yeah,
it's crucial to have because I have all my playlists on my phone, on my iPad, and my computer. So I'm like, if Apple goes down somehow wipes all their computers, that would be the only way that I'm like screwed.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Same.
Yeah. I've always carried 2 devices. Yeah.
I used to even carry like an old Apple iPod, like iPod Video, just in case, because those things are bricks and they still work.
Backup.
Yeah, but I haven't done that in a
It's
while.
amazing. All it takes is one time for something to fail, and like I swear, like you do everything in your power not to ever have it again.
One last thing I just got was like the adapter for the Lightning USB to aux, so I could plug my phone into the system if I needed to. So that was like the last key piece of like backup equipment.
Yeah.
So it's like both devices go out, I'll have my phone.
Yeah.
So now I can connect the phone, but you know.
Yeah, because you never know what to do.
I mean, like, guys, if you guys honestly think about it, every single piece of equipment that we have a backup on. Like, we all use powered speakers. If one of them goes out, I don't know about you, but most of our speakers, we don't turn up past halfway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could easily crank a little bit more out of those speakers to get you through the rest of the night if you need to, if one blows.
Yeah.
You know, wires, same thing. I don't know about you guys, but I have a backup of every wire that I have.
Oh yeah.
I have at least one extra. Like, exactly. I feel like I have more cables than I have like actual equipment. Like, I have so many bags of just straight cables. Like,
you can never have enough.
You have to get good cables too. You can't just, like I've learned, you can't just go on, Amazon and buy the cheapest cables you can find. You have to run, if you want good audio, you have to run number one, good cables to make it, reliable, good. If you don't want to buy it twice, just spend double the money.
Yeah. That's kind of, that's what Carson was talking about, because there's been some things we've gone kind of cheap on and then regret it later. And you're like, you're like, nope, that's not you can't bargain shop when you're a DJ.
No, you can't.
Exactly.
What are some things that kind of inspire you guys, like books, podcasts? We all listen to music, obviously. So what are some things that you guys really get a lot of energy from and inspiration?
I like motivational videos on YouTube, actually. I like to put those on in the car. I like that. Right now, I've been listening to a lot of that guy on Shark Tank.
Mark Cuban?
I love Mark Cuban, but also Damon John.
Oh, yeah. He's got a good podcast.
Yeah, so I like both of them. I like to listen to stuff that's like hearing people like just really out, like just working super hard and like just, making sure that they're, always just, putting everybody, trying to kill it every time, like, and just put their 100% effort into everything that they do. And sometimes, if I'm having a day where like just don't have a lot of energy, I like to listen to those because I'm like, what, they're doing it. Like it just helps me, ready to seize the day. So
I'm kind of laughing because I kind of have some of the same answers as Mark, but I see it because I see his answers here. Books or podcasts that had an impact on me. Well, if we're talking like specifically with DJ and stuff, like I've followed different like motivational speakers and stuff, different podcasts. But Mark, you had mentioned written down DJ Rick Webb and DJ Barr. Both of those guys, man, I've learned a ton from. So I've watched a lot of their videos, and they just give a lot of good insight into like the industry and things that maybe you wouldn't have thought of, or they can give you insight on before you have to experience it yourself. And it's funny, actually, Rick Webb, it might have been an older video, but he just did a video on XLR cables and why you should get the nicer ones instead of just buying cheap ones. So anyway, learning from both of them has been like really helpful for sure. And then also, learning from Carson, that's been the most. Shadowing the master, man, shadowing the guru, just getting to be in his presence.
Too much. No.
How about you, Mark? Since we got
for me, honestly, probably my main source is probably YouTube. I watch DJ Rick Webb, DJ Barr. I've learned so much. Honestly, probably the most from them. And then whenever I started like really getting into like mixing and stuff like that, I started, listening to like DJ TLMTV. He's taught me a lot about mixing and like how to do it. And I've been watching, a lot of DJ ADMC. He's actually local here from Pittsburgh. Crazy dude. I've seen him DJ a couple of times. He's really, really good, really talented. He actually won the Goldie Awards of 2019. I watch some of like his videos online and like try and like reproduce some of the stuff that, he's done. and it's crazy, and for like motivation to like kind of like get me up, get me going, probably like Gary V or Fuada.
Yeah, Gary V.
Gary V's the man.
Yeah.
You guys, someday, someone's gonna ask a DJ, hey, where do you learn all your stuff and get your inspiration? And they'll be like, man, I listen to this wedding workflow podcast.
Right.
They've just covered everything and like ever since starting. So someday
Exactly.
this is gonna be that inspiration for someone.
That's the plan.
We should make a YouTube channel.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, heck
Well,
yeah.
we got the.
Think about it.
We
Make a
recorded it.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I love YouTube, man. Yeah,
Heck
for me, for me, it's like I remember when I first started DJing was a lot of YouTube videos. Like I made like a playlist on there, and just kind of watch stuff and try to figure it out. And I just keep up with music too. Like I've always been super into music, and especially new stuff. Being able to work some of that in, and I've been watching a lot of. I've noticed a lot of TikTok. I've been on there a lot, and I get asked at a lot of weddings, like over this past year, since TikTok really has blown up, is like people have been requesting a lot of these like dancey kind of songs. It's not just like the kids, like there's like full grown adults doing the TikTok dances. And I've tried to stay up on like what's going on and like what people are like of all generations are dancing to and like kind of know about. And yeah, it's been interesting.
Dude, some bangers really come out of TikTok, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually started a TikTok dance song
nice.
playlist. Yeah, because they're just like there's a lot of dance songs, especially some people are really familiar with that. So
Yeah.
and I actually follow a couple DJs on TikTok, and and it's pretty cool. Yeah,
That'd be a good idea to start one of those.
yeah. And a couple folks do like live streams, and will stream their whole set. And I, just do it out of bedroom or something. So.
Yeah. And then another guy, there's a guy, DJ Promote. He's like a Christian DJ, I guess. He would like tour with like Lecrae and all these big artists. And he on Bandcamp, he's got like I think it's like 12 different remix like albums that sometimes I'll take and if I'm playing like a normal part of that song, I'll kind of fade in like his remix version, and
nice.
they're really good. Like I'll kind of work like use them as a template, and he's got a really good cha-cha slides where he mixes it with levels, and it's just like I played it at Carson's wedding. That was fun.
When you dropped that at my wedding, dude, I was like, no freaking way. That thing was awesome.
'Cause it's got much more of like an upbeat tempo to it, and and then they bring the levels in at the end. Oh man, it gets a little crazy, but that's kind of where I fall into.
I actually post a lot of my mixes online too. If you go to Mixcloud.com, I post a lot of my mixes there. All you guys should post your mixes under like a Headtrauma.
Give a plug, Mark.
Headtrauma
Give
name.
a plug. What's your Mixcloud?
DJ Zeus from Newcastle.
Check out Marc Suber on it as DJ Zeus, baby.
DJ Zeus.
You will not be disappointed. He kills it.
Dude, that's awesome. So what are some things like when we're talking with clients, like what are some things that you want them to think about while they're planning the music for the weddings? I know for me, I just made a playlist. I call it Older Crowd Playlist, and it's pretty sweet. I got some great songs on there. I got like Come and Get Your Love and like all these like upbeat kind of older songs, but like Dancing in the Moonlight, that kind of stuff, where it like, and I usually play those like the first half of the dancing, like because I want all the older people to have the chance to like get up and dance before they usually head out early.
Yeah, I like to organize that too. I have a wedding predictions playlist that I put. So that like I make that place in case I ever find myself in a bind.
Yeah, where you're
especially
like, I don't know what to play next.
where like if I feel like I'm just having like a brain freeze or something, like I just can't figure it out. I feel like I can usually go to that playlist and it's kind of my safe spot where I can play one of those songs and I know I'm gonna be all right, and spare me some more time to figure out where I'm gonna take it from there.
Yeah,
and that's something that's important to me. I feel like is to have those little like almost like little like safe spots because it's a lot of pressure, I feel like, and it can feel intimidating. So sometimes if I'm scrambling, I'm like I just can't figure out for some reason at that moment what to play to be able to go and like this will be all right, and then I'll figure it out from there. But And sometimes crowds are just hard. Like
Yeah.
I've had a couple where it is a little bit more challenging than others. There was one recently where I just, usually I feel like I can look at the crowd, and during dinner time, I'll put together a predictions playlist, like just based off looking at the crowd and trying to kind of guess who they are as people. And I'll put together stuff that I just think is going to be successful. But there was a time recently where I felt like the crowd was so divided. One half of the crowd loved country, the other half of the crowd loved hip hop.
Dude, I've had that too.
And then the
That's
grandparents,
the hard mix.
the older people did not leave early like they typically do. And I felt really like intimidated for a little bit. And it really did take me it took me longer than I would have wanted to have to try to figure that out. Like it was going successful, but I could tell it was only going successful for those people. And it was like a hard divide too of who, what, and I was just having a hard time. But then so I was nice to be able to go to that predictions playlist, play stuff that I knew everyone was going to enjoy until felt like I really figured it out. And once I figured it out, it was one of my favorite weddings.
Yeah. I actually encourage the couples if they have Spotify or like Apple Music or something, to anytime they hear a song, like make a wedding playlist, make one.
Nice.
Yeah. Make, one for dinner and then one for dancing. And, I tell them like, if you're like at your parents' house or your grandparents' house, like ask them what some of their favorite songs are, just throw it on the playlist really quick. And then I also encourage them to think about who they're inviting. Because most of the time, the couple only get I'd say maybe like 30, 40 minutes of actually on the dance floor. They're usually like walking around, talking to people, pictures, that kind of stuff. And so I tell them like, think about who you're inviting and what kind of music they'll respond to. Because more often than not, you're not going to spend a ton of time on the dance floor. And so, usually they're like, oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Same. For sure. Well, in along those lines, it's like, they should know it's like, well, maybe the music that you really are into is like not, if it's not like the same across the board with your friends or your peers, then like maybe you shouldn't put that on your list. Yeah. I remember doing a wedding with Carson where the one groom had some like really different tastes than like the bride, and then it was kind of like more hardcore stuff, which is fine, not unheard of, but like it didn't seem like anybody else was really that into it, and it wasn't even like his group of friends that were that into it. It was just kind of him. You did a great job working that in.
Oh, thanks. I think it can be tricky.
But like just that awareness of like, okay, you might like certain kind of music, but like what's going to get on, what's going to be best for everybody. But hey, they're the bride and groom. If they really want to hear something that nobody else cares for, it's their day. But like if they're trying to have a hop and dance floor, they should know.
I had one groom that wanted me to periodically play Sandstorm throughout the night. He was like, just play it like every now and then. So like
multiple times. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
It was great. And like every time he would stop, no matter what he was doing, and he would head to the dance floor, and he would be the only one dancing. But I mean, he loved it.
That's so funny.
Oh man. What about you, Mark? What's kind of like your philosophy behind keeping people on the dance floor, and how you build your playlist?
I mean, so I don't really build playlists. I mean, I have like a couple, I have crates that, I operate a little bit differently, and my crates are organized per BPM or like per mood, what I mean? So like, if it's like going to be jumping, crazy, like I'll go to like my EDM or like my higher BPM playlist. Mm-hmm. Or like, if it's like a rap crowd, I'll go to my rap crate. And it's just songs organized that I know will mix and fuse well together for that like crowd of people. But I would never say that I play off of a playlist, because I don't walk into any event with like a set number of songs I'm going to play or like a set amount of like what I'm going to play, because, things change fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If someone's out there, they're banging to rock right now, they might be banging to, 80s in 30 minutes. But, and like my philosophy behind like keeping people on the dance floor, that would probably be like, I first start off with either like a slow song, and I'll get everybody out there with that, or I'll start off with like a line dance, something everybody knows and loves, and I'll just go into like some of like the 70s and 80s that like everyone loves, like run around Sue, shout, kind of some stuff like that, get everybody out there, you know, having a good time.
Yeah.
And I'll just try and keep that going all night, and I'll just change based off of, you know, what the crowd does.
Yeah. I think DJs, you have to like get into the mind of the group. It's like a weird thing to explain, but you have to really be good at reading crowds, and it takes a.
Well, I like that about us too, because like I said about not being like press play DJ off a playlist. Like some DJs, I'm quite sure go into it and they're just gonna play these songs in order. And like I just can't wrap my head around that. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I have no idea what order I'm gonna play a song in, like until it happens, because I feel like it's all about matching that song up with the energy, with the crowd and just knowing when to play the right song at the right time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that's what it's just all about. And if you know when to play the right song at the right time, people aren't gonna leave the dance floor. You know?
Yeah.
Sorry. No, you go ahead. Oh, so my favorite thing is like. This is like, I feel like just the biggest compliment, know you're on the right path, is when somebody comes up and like say they would request a song, but it's what you have up next.
Dude, that's happened to me so many times.
I really feel like that's when you know you're killing it, because it's like you just predicted what song they wanted to hear before they even told you. Like you knew, you were so, like maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not. I'm choosing to believe it's not though. But like when you're so in it, when like, and you're killing it, you are, like you said, have the head in the crowd. But man, when they come up and they request a song and you're planning on playing that one next, I just feel like, man, you're killing it.
There's been times where like someone's come up and they're like, "Can you play this song?" And I'll be like, "Come here," and I put them to my computer. I'm like, "That was the next song," and they were like, "No way!"
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
It's crazy.
Along those lines too, like something that's so cool to see that like a lot of older folks will like kind of only dance to line dances, you know, or like. Some folks that maybe wouldn't get on the dance floor otherwise, you get them on the dance floor with a line dance, and then like right after that, if you see some of these like the older folks starting to walk away, but then you hit the right oldie, and then they turn around and start dancing. I'm just like, oh man, like if somebody's like ready to leave, like somebody's ready to leave the dance floor because they're like, oh, line dance is over, but then you catch them with something else. That's like my favorite. I'm like,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Like,
get back here, you're not done dancing.
Because there's no feeling like when you play a song that you were kind of like questioning, and then the crowd is just gone, and you're like, man, I got to sit with that for like 3 minutes. It's like, oh no. Yeah.
Do you ever cut a song early if that happens?
Oh yeah, I'll fade that out as soon as I can.
Oops, sorry guys.
I'll be like, that was a bad take.
Yeah.
I did not read that one right.
Those, yeah. When you make that, and it is good, like, it's like, well, at least if you do make a mistake like that, or just take a risk on a song. You know, I know sometimes where I feel like this song's a bit risky. Like, either this is going to be incredible or it's not. I feel like that with that Mr. Brightside. Actually, that's the song I feel like is always risky, because it's like if the right crowd, that song is going to be one of their favorite songs potentially from the night. And the wrong crowd is just going to clear the dance floor.
It depends on whether they have that like nostalgic like feeling towards a certain song. Like
that's always the one I feel like is a risk.
Yeah.
But when it hits, it hits.
Oh man, that's funny. There's a few songs I'm thinking of right now that I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. Like The Way You Move by I can't think of the name. Outkast.
Oh,
you know that one? Like, I like the way.
Oh yeah.
And like, if people there's been times where like people are just like, that's the best song ever. And there's been times where I'm like, I think this crowd would like this song. And I play it on, and everyone's like, "Hey,"
yeah."
Like, "Oh no, I know it's a great song,
but
not for this crowd."
Yeah.
And so let's end on what's one piece of advice you guys give an engaged couple who are like in the midst of planning their wedding. For me, it's always like try to take out as much stress as possible, and try to do as much as you can before that last month of your wedding. I know there's a lot of things that kind of fall in place at the last minute, and so getting everything that you can as soon as you can is crucial.
My piece of advice: book with Headtrauma Entertainment.
Hey, there you go.
No, but I mean, just from hearing and seeing other things with other DJs and companies in the area, it's just like, make sure you get the right vendors, and you get what you pay for, and so just make sure that you have like the caliber of professional that you want, and take the time to check their references and their reviews and whatnot. So, and we stand behind all that, of all the reviews and whatnot we've gotten. So
Yeah.
Book good vendors.
Get the people that go for the more expensive, reliable stuff.
Yeah, right. I like what Michael said. I think work with people that you genuinely love, like that you love to be around, like that you could see yourself wanting to be around, because just like we love the feeling of knowing that, like, feeling like we're friends before we even get there. I feel like on the bride and groom, that will take a lot of your stress away, knowing that you can trust these people with your day and that they care about it just like they care about it like it's their own. And I think that you can rest assured with that. I think that you can ease a lot of anxiety and stress knowing that you're in good hands and that you have a team of people that are going to go out of their way and go above and beyond to ensure that, if something is not working out right during the wedding day, that they're there. They're not there just to do their service. They're gonna help you solve that, and hopefully get that solved before probably you don't even know it happened.
Yeah,
which happens a lot.
Oh yeah.
So,
how about you, Mark?
I don't know. Things just tend to fall in place. I've had so many brides, or grooms, just stressful, not knowing what's going on, what's happening next. Just like things tend to fall in place. You're in good hands. Don't ever stress. Like things always play out. Always. I mean, that's pretty much it.
I feel like the things that don't go well, that or not go well, but things that the unexpected things that happen sometimes end up becoming the best memories. From your wedding. So
100%,
I think that's something to kind of like help couples relax too. Is like, something might go so wrong, but that's probably going to be something that you remember. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. You're probably going to like love that memory.
Yeah, like even like at your wedding, Carson, when like the right before the ceremony, the power to like the tent and everything just like
all the power. There was nothing. So right before the ceremony started, but that's something I'm never gonna forget that.
And then we had
it worked out.
We had what was your friend's name that was playing guitar?
Yeah, I had a guitar player there that was supposed to perform for cocktail hour. But here's an example of having people that you can trust that care. So he wasn't scheduled to play during that time, but he stepped up to the plate and went over to where the ceremony was taking place, stood right by the people, and he performed a cappella and off a song that Adam taught him.
Yeah,
literally in 10 seconds.
Yeah, like it was the song that you guys were walking down to after you got married. It was "Marry You" by Bruno Mars, and he's like, we looked up the lyrics real quick on his iPad, and I was like singing along to the melody with him, and he was like, I was like, "You think you got it?" He's like, "Yeah, man." And so we just that kind of stuff where you're like, you need to have people that are gonna. When stuff like that inevitably will happen, you have to have someone that you can trust to find the solution.
Absolutely. That's actually a really good example, I think.
Yeah. It was crazy. That was a fun time.
That was awesome, yeah.
It all worked out.
Yeah, and we enjoyed it, actually. No offense to you playing DJing playing our song for our ceremony. But we loved having the acoustic music. We actually wanted to have a live musician in the very beginning. But we just thought, we don't want to add that to him. We just want to make it easier. So it's actually what we wanted, and it happened. So it's kind of crazy. So
embrace those crazy moments. And, I'd say like your attitude going into your wedding is really what you're going to remember. That kind of like, if you go into it and saying like, I'm going to throw a party for my friends and my family, we're going to have a good time, and you don't put a lot of weight on yourself. I think that's something that a lot of people can take.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, anything else you guys want to add? Any other stories? Everything. Anything interesting? No. What's Mark? What's going on with you in Pittsburgh? How are things going with? So you're starting like the Headtrauma. How does that work?
We're just able to service that area now.
Okay.
So that was an area before we had to charge a travel fee, but now that Mark's out there, makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot easier, and advertising in that area now. So, but Mark does a lot. Mark does a lot of his own weddings and events and clubs back when things were normal. So
yeah.
Mark's Mr. Pittsburgh himself.
Mr. Pittsburgh.
Mr. Pitt.
What are you guys up to?
We just got this office and putting a lot more effort into the podcast, and we got some great guests lined up for the next few months. We're trying to get some some recurring guests will be on here, and then we're trying to mix it up, get some different people, different kind of vendors, and just try to really dig deep into the podcast world and try to help all the clients and give people something to think about while they're planning their wedding. Hopefully some advice. And so Mark, plug some of your mixes and where people can find you online.
All right, guys, download Mixcloud. Go to mixcloud.com. Look up DJ Zeus. It says I'm from Pittsburgh. I got like a purplish like picture. Click on that. You can go like my mixes and listen to me there.
Awesome. What's your Instagram handle?
At DJ Marc Suber.
Awesome.
Nice. Michael, what's yours, man? Where can people find you, man? Check you out.
Headtrauma.entertainment.com.
Nah. What's your Instagram?
I haven't started posting yet, so we'll wait to plug everything yet.
Okay.
Cool. No worries. Coming soon.
Yeah. All right, cool. For me, check out headtraumaentertainment.com or check that out on any social media platforms.
Yep. And then mine's allcirclesentertainment.com. We all kind of have separate businesses and stuff going on. And I started an Instagram for my photography and stuff too. It's at Adam R. Robb with 2 B's, ROBB.
Awesome.
So cool. Yeah. We thank you guys for joining us for this DJ roundtable. I'm sure it won't be the last. And we are starting up the podcast again. So stay tuned for more episodes. We're going to have some great guests lined up. And we're going to keep it going. And we're going to get into 2021 strong. And let's hope that everybody stays safe out there. And again, we thank you for joining us for the Wedding Workflow podcast.
Killed it.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Wedding Workflow podcast. Join us next Wednesday for another episode. And if you've enjoyed our show, please leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts to help us move up in the rankings. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Wed Workflow Pod. And you can find us on Facebook at The Wedding Workflow. Also, please send us an email with any questions or topics you'd like us to cover at theweddingworkflow@gmail.com. And we will see you next week.